Hey, welcome back. It is Saturday, September 5th, 2020, Labor Day weekend. What a freaking day. I'm glad my week is over. I'm going to shut the light off. You don't have to look at my mug. Today was one of those days where we got everything but the kitchen sink thrown at us. From the minute I walked in and punched in, threw my vest on, it was good to go. Get in your car and deal with it. It was actually kind of refreshing. I haven't had a day like that in a long time. Flew by. Anyway, y'all don't come out here to listen to my day. And like I said, one of these days I'll do a Tales from a Patrol Car video. But today's not that day. So last night I did a video that I titled Civil War, the Insurgents. I want to kind of expand on that with, I guess, an open-ended question to you guys, the viewers. Once I get something in my head, I just chew it over and chew it over and chew it over until I spit it out and don't want to think about it anymore. And this is still kind of in there. So I said we were in an insurgency at this point based on the Portland shooter, right? And I said, man, I'm glad they're just using friggin' simplified mafia or cartel tactics and haven't evolved, if you will, to something like the Irish Republican Army or even Al-Qaeda or ISIS style tactics of, IEDs and roadside bombs and things like that. So tonight I want to kind of explore who are the insurgents. Right? We can agree that Antifa is an insurgency and BLM is an insurgency based on the things they do and the way they do them. But who are these people? Yes, a lot of them are disenfranchised millennials and Gen Zers that see no better way forward for themselves in the country than a violent communist revolution. But I think it goes a little deeper than that, right? There's people of my age bracket, older, that are parts of these groups. Example again, the Portland shooter. It's not limited to the stereotypical participation trophy generation, millennial, Gen Zer, that's never been out of mom's basement and has no flipping clue what the real world is. There are people from all walks of life that join groups like that. Usually there's some commonality of criminal element to them, but not always. Example again, the Portland shooter. Yeah, he was a bad guy. He had a record. He shouldn't have had that gun. But he was also an Army vet. At least I can only claim him generationally. Thank God he wasn't a Marine. The hell is that behind? It's like a UFO in my rearview mirror. Anyway. To think that there aren't people with military backgrounds that are members of these groups would be naive and short-sighted. That guy is a case in point. Some of the people that my wife used to be friends with from her military days are case in point. Now, they're not necessarily actively rioting or protesting, but they support these groups. be it as a cheering squad or in other ways. Now, I can't speak to the other ways. I can only speak to that some of them were a cheering squad for these people. But for those tactics to evolve from a simple mob cartel style hit like you saw in Portland to the IRA nail bomb taped to the mailbox to the IED that they made with a cell phone and whatever lure that they chose to get you to go look at it is not, it's not a far-fetched idea. Right? It's not a far-fetched idea to say there are people who are capable of replicating these things that share ideology. That not only share ideology, but share methodology. And while they may or may not be capable or willing to do these things themselves, are capable of assisting the foot soldiers, if you will, in doing them. Hell, I would take it a step further and say, what better of a plant, right? If you're one of those Antifa members that wants to bring about chaos and disorder, than to get a member in a police department. Those are the big enemy of these groups right now. I'm sure it's been thought of. And if it hasn't, I'd be shocked. I'm sure there are infiltrators in police departments to one degree or another. But what better way to wage a war of insurgency than by planting a member in the very group you're trying to destroy in order to bring about chaos? Is it so far-fetched to think that if you go in the Wayback Machine in my videos to the liberal neighbor video, is it so far-fetched to think that that liberal neighbor couldn't be a supporter of one of those groups, and part of them being extra chatty is to gather intelligence, because, well, they've realized you stand for everything that they stand against, and you could be a roadblock to their end goal. Is it so far-fetched to think that the guy or gal you've been working next to at whatever job for however many years isn't just a quiet communist sympathizer that's waiting for their moment to make history, if you will? Now that I've asked that open-ended question, I want to sort of kind of talk around an answer. The answer is you might never know. Or you might find out the hard way. Which brings up the question of trust and vetting of people that you would or wouldn't bring into your inner circle, right? Because, you can size somebody up, chat them up here and there, and kind of get an idea where they stand, or where they want you to think they stand. But when it comes to finding out where their foothold is, they may play that one a little closer to the vest. Be it because they don't want you to know for purposes of OPSEC, or because they're trying to gain your trust. That guy that you've been talking to when you walk your dog every day for 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. You have your casual conversation, you discuss a few things, you drop a few things, he drops a few things. Maybe you're dropping bait, maybe he's dropping bait, or she's dropping bait to see what they can get you to tell, for what intelligence they can gather on you. That would be the smart way to conduct an insurgency. Is that the case? Is the question. I can't answer that because I don't know. That's why I said this is an open-ended question. But a good insurgent is one that you'll never know is who they are until they want you to find out. I mean, hell, even Global War on Terror, right? You had the playing cards, but it didn't have the street level insurgent included in those playing cards. It had the big name people. And thus far, the big name people of BLM have managed to say just enough to rile up the masses without going far enough to get themselves arrested. I don't know, based on what I've seen, read, watched, and studied, if an organization like Antifa even has big name players, or if it's just so fragmented and localized that, Jim's the big name guy over in Portland, Mike's the big name guy over in Philly, Donnie's the big name guy down in Florida. Things to think about. Things to think about seriously. Give you another example. If you live in a touristy area, there's a lot of short-term rentals, be they hotels, Airbnbs, what have you. Pay attention to the people that rent them. Go read up on profiling, right? And I'm not talking like racial profiling or shit like that. That's easy enough to just go pull up the New Jersey State Police training manual. Got to look for the page that's torn out. What I'm talking about is like the FBI profilers. when they want to profile a serial killer or terrorist or something like that. And they'll build a psychological profile. They'll build a social profile. And they may not necessarily be able to put a name and a face to it, but they'll say someone who fits these traits. Look for that in the in your area if there's irregular influxes of people. I mean, some of them are pretty stupid about it. They'll just wear a t-shirt, right? Because, well, FTW. But the smarter ones, you won't even know. Maybe you'll think they're just there on vacation. You know, hey, I'm staying here for a week. I'm thinking about moving to this neighborhood. Well, tell me about this kind of people. Who lives there? You know, what are they like? Now, could that just be innocent questions? Of course it could. That's where your profile of one of these insurgent groups comes into play. And you can't just say, all right, you're a spindly armed, skinny white guy with pink hair, you must be Antifa. Or, you know, you're a thugged out black dude, so therefore you must be BLM or a gang member. Build a profile for what fits that group of people. And not what you think. Use what you know. Use material that's available. And then make your best guess assessment. See how many of you are right, see how many of you are wrong. But this brings it full circle to that open-ended question. Who are the insurgents? You may find out, you may not. You may figure it out, you may not. Anyway, I've gone on way too long and probably lost half of the viewing audience 10 minutes ago. So, y'all enjoy your Labor Day weekend. I'm going to enjoy some House of Hair and have a nice cold one when I get home. Be safe. Watch your six.